David Cooperrider developed the method of appreciative inquiry at Western Case Reserve University. Out of his time here, Cooperrider, through interview, observation, and study, collected data that led him to take the focus away from the issues the Cleveland Clinic was experiencing and rather focus on what was contributing to the organization to create success. Cooperrider found the clinic was using a system of positive cooperation, innovation, and egalitarian governance. Out of these realizations, appreciative inquiry was formed. He wanted to see changes starting with the way that questions were formed to foster a positive outcome leading to a strengths-based approach. AI is often praised for its positive outlook on problem solving. What sets AI apart is the way in which it focuses on the aspects of the system that are functioning well. Its focus is on building on an organization's strengths, celebrating its positive stories, strengthening relationships, and involving everyone in the process. However, there are also critiques to appreciative inquiry. AI functions best when all people are involved. If not all are committed to the organization and committed to implementing the change, AI will not be effective. Many critique that by AI focusing solely on the positive aspects, that it misses the beneficial lessons learned from negative experiences. Some claim that the unclear outline and practical steps within AI leads to a diluted, misused version, rendering it ineffective. What some suggest could be useful is the teaching of practical AI use and how that can be implemented with those well-trained and prepared to ask the right questions to lead organizations to long-lasting positive change through strengths-based approach.
So, what is this appreciative inquiry all about? Well, let's look at the key concepts. Appreciative inquiry really is based on the notion of recognizing the full worth of something or someone through inquiry. The key concept of appreciative inquiry is based on the 4D model designed by David Cooperrider. The first D stands for discovery. And in this stage is the process of inquiry into what gives life. It's questions like, describe the time at work you felt alive. The second stage is the dream stage. And this represents what might be. It's the opportunity for people and organizations to dream together. The third stage is the design stage. And this takes place and puts the dreams and all the discovery onto paper and written out the details. The final stage is known as destiny or delivery. And in this stage is when the design and all the details are implemented and followed through in order to achieve the desired results. So the power of appreciative inquiry is really seen through what is called the 6 freedoms. The first freedom is the freedom to be known in relationship. And this actually gets to the core of our identity. When a person is known for who they are, they're more likely to flourish. The second freedom is the freedom to be heard. When another person hears us, they witness or repeat our ideas and stories, we become real and significant. The third freedom is the freedom to dream in community. So this is just not the leader's dream, but it's everyone coming together. The fourth freedom to choose to contribute. No one is forced to contribute in appreciative inquiry, but they get the opportunity to. The fifth freedom is the freedom to act with support. In appreciative inquiry, people are invited to act on the things that inspire them. And the sixth freedom is the freedom to be positive. And this is based on research that most organizations are overrun with criticism and blame and fear, so the opportunity to be positive.
One positive aspect of appreciative inquiry is in its focus on the strengths and positive stories of an organization. Utilizing AI can enable members to celebrate victories and learn from what has worked well in the present and past. AI also has great value as an experiential approach toward research. Appreciative inquiry emphasizes discovery as a mode of exploration, rather than beginning with a problem and developing a solution for the problem. Through experience and discovery, greater insights can be gleaned. By not focusing on a particular problem to be solved, AI can allow researchers greater range to pursue helpful ideas that perhaps would be out of bounds in a problem-solution model. Through AI, participants can take advantage of the time to pause and reflect on the positive stories told in an institution, the data that AI gathers. In the process, AI can strengthen relationships in an organization. It offers a more holistic approach to create a better shared future. AI can be useful in situations where previous evaluations have failed. It can also be applicable in hostile or volatile work environments. AI can be implemented when change needs to be accelerated or when relationships have deteriorated. Lastly, appreciative inquiry can be beneficial when a desire exists to build community. Appreciative inquiry works well as an organizational change tool and as a way to develop leadership and self-awareness. It is also a useful tool in evaluating people and situations. One application of AI is in mass interviews with organization members and other stakeholders. Another mode of implementation is in an Appreciative Inquiry Summit, where participants gather over 1 or more days to apply AI methods to seek positive change in their organizations.
Appreciative inquiry? Oh, that's easy. You just focus on the good stories, right? The 4D model outlines 4 components to organizational change. Discovery, what gives the organization life. To dream, casting a vision of what could be. Design, creating the ideal organization. And destiny, emphasis on empowering to implement. So, where do all the good stories come into play? There are many ways to approach appreciative inquiry as an organizational change agent. Most important and foundational to any format is to understand that you are embarking upon changing the way people think rather than changing what they do. It is human nature for us to focus on problems while looking for solutions, but the AI consultant must flip that switch. Focus on positive experiences, dreams, and possibilities as they set up their interviews and determine positive courses of action. The 4D model was built upon 4 essential concepts: that the inquiry starts with appreciation, is applicable, provocative, and also collaborative. These must undergird all of the direction of the 4D model. An AI consultant will need to consider several key principles as well when developing her interview questions and applying the model. The first D in the model is discovery. Discovery occurs when we ask questions, and then we get to hear all those positive stories. Using a positive constructionist principle will allow us for extensive social knowledge and have that reintroduced to the organization. Taking as many positive stories from the past will help us to create a framework to build for the future. A sample question, when we're looking at maybe designing a new youth group, is to ask the students to think of a time or an experience in the group when they felt most excited or most engaged. Or you could ask them what it was about other people or themselves while they were attending an event that created that peak experience for them. Building on what is discovered, the consultant will then focus her questions on the dream. Different dreams. If you could choose one way that Jesus interacted with people and then become that, what would that be? As the consultant then begins the design process, 3 principles will be foundational to her success. Simultaneity, when actions between inquiry and change will flow together. The poetic principle, finding a metaphor to embrace the organization. An example of that could be a landscape company as they begin to rebrand and look for a movement forward. They may use the metaphor of sustainable living. Finally, there is the anticipatory principle. This is designing a vision that gives positive expression to the ongoing behaviors. Our final step is destiny. Some have coined it as delivery. This here will cause us to use the fifth and final principle, and that is the positive principle. And while this principle should permeate the entire process, the positive mindsets of those in the organization is what will propel an effective and strong motion forward. Keeping these 5 principles aligned with the 4D model is what will ensure a positive outcome.